President Obama in Canada and California? We'll explain that one in this Friday edition of CNN Student News. First up, the president visits our neighbor to the north to meet with his Canadian counterpart. Yesterday's trip marked President Obama's first international trip since he took office, and it was all business. The main item on the agenda, the struggling U.S. economy and the newly signed stimulus package, specifically one provision that could have a serious impact on Canada. Samantha Hayes checks in with more of the details about yesterday's meeting in the Canadian capital.
President Barack Obama arrived in Canada to a warm welcome and chilly temperatures.
I think everyone here in Ottawa is kind of excited to have him, and especially us Obama enthusiasts who have been part of the campaign, like I said, since the very beginning.
But there will be some tough issues on the agenda when President Obama meets with Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, starting with that Buy America clause in the stimulus package. The provision requires the use of American-made iron and steel in public works projects funded by the stimulus plan. It is a major issue for Canada, the U.S.'s biggest trading partner.
If there's one thing that could turn a recession into a depression, it is protectionist measures across the world. I'm very encouraged by the fact that President Obama said that he was concerned about that as well, and I'm confident that with the modifications that are made, that the administration will implement this in a responsible way.
And Mr. Obama has a couple of concerns on his list. Canada wants to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan, just as the president has decided to increase America's military presence in the country.
My hope is that in conversations that I have with Prime Minister Harper, that he and I end up seeing the importance of a comprehensive strategy and one that ultimately the people of Canada can support.
Environmental issues are also on the table. Canadians extract oil from sands in Alberta, and that process is an environmental concern for the Obama administration. For CNN Student News, I'm Samantha Hayes.
Today's shout-out goes out to Mrs. Brown's World History class at Alexander City Middle School in Alexander City, Alabama. What line of latitude forms the border between the U.S. and Canada? Is it the 38th parallel, international date line, 49th parallel, or the Tropic of Capricorn? You've got 3 seconds. Go! The 49th parallel was established as a modern border between the two countries in 1846. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
Jumping back over that border, Wall Street is getting hammered by the struggling economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, it indicates how the overall stock market is doing, ended Thursday at its lowest point since October of 2002. Of course, President Obama is hoping the stimulus package will help turn things around. Here's a look at how the biggest slice of the stimulus pie will be used.
Not all of the stimulus money will be spent. Some is set aside for tax breaks. But the government does plan to spend $317 billion, or 40% of the stimulus plan, and here's how. Energy and environment will get $98 billion. Specifically, this will go for stuff like research into more efficient energy use, delivering electricity, the Department of the Interior, and the Army Corps of Engineers. Next, $66 billion will be spent on labor, health, and education. Financial aid to college students, special education, school improvement programs, and the Department of Labor will all get some funding. Transportation, housing, and urban development will get $57 billion for everything from rebuilding bridges to helping the homeless. Federal and state governments will get a little more than $45 billion. And commerce, defense, and agriculture will get the least of the spending for a combined total of a little less than $51 billion.
All right, turning our attention to Iran now. This next story contains images that some viewers might find disturbing. So teachers, we strongly suggest you preview this report. A court case in the Middle Eastern nation is getting international attention. Concerns a woman who is the victim of a violent assault. She wants her attacker's punishment to match his crime, blinding her with acid. Reza Sayah speaks with the woman whose face was disfigured by this attack. Again, teachers, we encourage you to preview this report before showing it to your class.
Amineh Bahrami says her big brown eyes used to be the envy of her friends. But this is what a jilted suitor did to Amineh's eyes when he threw acid in her face. The attack has made headlines in Iran because Amineh, now 31, is demanding an eye for an eye.
People like him should be made to feel my suffering.
In accordance with Islamic law, Amine wants to blind Majid Mohavedi, the man who blinded her.
He called me every day and harassed me. He told me he would kill me. He said, you have to say yes.
This corner that you're looking at right now, that's where her jilted suitor Majid used to hide. And a couple of days before this incident, she said, look, I don't want to marry you.
But Majid wouldn't take no for an answer. November 2004, as Amine walked home from work, the threats turned to violence. This is Amine's first visit back to the scene of the attack in Tehran.
She says she went up a little bit and then she sensed someone was right behind her.
The moment she looked back, she says, Majid attacked. Attack victims in Iran often get what's known as blood money from the culprit, a monetary fine in lieu of harsh punishment. With no insurance and mounting medical bills, Amine could have used the cash, but said no.
I don't want to blind Majid for revenge. I'm doing this to keep this from ever happening to someone else.
Amine's demand has outraged some human rights activists. Usually they support victims of acid attacks, but on internet blogs they criticized her. Her determination to blind her attacker is as barbaric as the crime, they write. Late last year, a court in Tehran handed down the sentence, acid in each of Majid's eyes. He's appealed the decision, but this month the court ruled the sentence stands.
If I don't do this and there's another acid attack, I will never forgive myself for as long as I live.
A very difficult story to take in, but what do you think? Is justice served by blinding Amine's attacker with acid? Is there another punishment that would fit this crime? Or do you think Amine should have instead taken what's known as blood money? We'd like you to tell us on our blog. Well, we're shifting gears now. An automotive era could be coming to a close. Camaros, Thunderbirds, Mustangs. Not so long ago, these so-called muscle cars defined a time when American vehicles dominated the landscape. But as Jim Acosta explains, with the economy in atrophy and U.S. automakers appealing to the government for help, these muscle cars may be getting muscled out.
If the 70s were good for one thing, it was American cars. They were cool, they were fast, and Hollywood made movies about them. Smokey and the Bandit was just as much about the Pontiac Trans Am as it was about Burt Reynolds. But today, they're not laughing in Detroit. In its plea for billions in new bailout money, General Motors plans to downsize Pontiac. Not quite killing it off, as GM says it may do with Saturn and Hummer, but close.
Clearly, Detroit lost its passion for cars. Well, hello and welcome again to Motor Week.
For more than a quarter century, John Davis has hosted PBS's car consumer show, Motor Week. He says Detroit built cars that defined an era that's in danger of coming to an end.
The American auto industry is in a mess, too much involved with trucks, and the public sentiment changed, and they weren't able to change fast enough.
A V8 is a V8.
Yep, sounds different, feels different, brings back memories of when I was a heck of a lot younger.
Matt Holtzman is the general manager of Fleming's Ultimate Garage, a small-scale classic car dealership.
Just sitting in this car, you feel like you're stepping back in time.
But you are.
This 79 Trans Am Bandit is one of its showroom showpieces. The T-top still works.
It's iconic as a brand.
He hopes the bailout will drive the auto giants back to their glory days.
I hope someday someone will replicate this car exactly as it looks.
And put it on the road.
Put it on the road.
GM insists it's doing all it can to get back in the driver's seat.
Obviously, what we can do on our side is continue to bring out, really exciting products and get behind them in the right way.
I think passion is a key to the American car buyer and to the American car design.
Something even Smokey could appreciate.
And finally, about that double dose of President Obama we mentioned, here's the other half, appearing at a charity event in California. Okay, he's not the real deal, but this impressive impersonator is more than happy to pretend. Reggie Brown is his real name. He says he's working on perfecting the president's look, but he's already good enough to make some Marines who are at this event do a double take. Little more practice. Reggie could have a full-time gig as a commander and cheat. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I'm Carl Azuz.